Hey everyone, and welcome back to Mac Music channel. Today we're going to be talking about the tutorial series that I mentioned in the last short, and going to be going through creating a template from scratch. I covered this briefly in a previous video, but I wanted just to go over this again and really show the process of having a clear goal in mind and how we're going to set about achieving that goal. So, the clear goal I've got in mind, as I mentioned in the short video, is to recreate a control surface that I had, which is the Behringer BCF2000. So, for those of you who don't know, this is what the Behringer BCF2000 looks like. They made a couple of these. They made a BCR and a BCF, F for fader, R for rotary. So I used to own a BCF2000. It's had 8 motorized faders, some switches, and some encoder knobs, a small display, and pretty versatile a control surface to allow you to interact with a door or hardware of your choice. So the reason why I sold this recently, actually at Christmas time last year, to help pay for Christmas and stuff, and I got rid of most of my hardware. Little bit, I sort of regret it now because it's nice to have hardware. But anyway, so I thought, well, why don't I try and recreate this in as best I can in open source control? And so that's the premise we're starting with. So this is what I want to recreate. So essentially what we're going to do is we're going to create a new template. We're going to add some faders. We're going to add some switches, kind of display, some rotary knobs, and then we're going to do some styling and a other stuff to basically get it to look and feel like this control surface. And then I'm going to take you through how I did that. I'm not an HTML CSS whiz. I've done what I can to get it to a position where I think it's okay. I think it will always be able to be improved. And yeah, so I a little bit late with this because I wanted to get it to a point where I felt that it was good enough to start working with. So essentially what I've got so far is this. So it's a little bit dark, but this is an open source control template. And as far as I can tell, it quite well sort of mimics the BCF2000. So we've got some faders here. The value of the current fader is shown in the top right. These faders here. These all slide up and down, so these are custom styled, and I'll get into a little bit about how I did this because I went around the houses a lot on trying to do this in the least complicated way. And there's some switches here. I've got an imaginary sort of up-down switches which change program, and we'll come on to as well how we sort of integrate this with DAW. I use Ableton, and there are actually some quite good existing templates for the hardware BCF2000, which I think we're going to try and use with Ableton and OSC to basically make those hardware templates work with our software version of the controller by getting the template to send the same commands as you would expect the BCF2000 to send, so we can have a full software emulation of this hardware device. We've also got rotary knobs up here. Again, these were a little bit tricky. Again, they just show the current value, and then they snap back to whichever program we're on. Change the program, and these are sort of on toggle buttons. These ones are momentary. These ones are also momentary. These typically down here are transport control, so play, stop, record, and loop. So yeah, this is what we're aiming for. So I was sort of reasonably pleased to get this far, and felt like I had enough information to start this tutorial series with. And once we've got a little bit further in, I will take some feedback and stuff, and then show it actually working with Ableton and doing and controlling a session view with the various controls that we've got, and how we map them and how we set them up as MIDI remote devices. And hopefully that will give you enough information to do similar sort of stuff to yourself. Yeah, so anyway, as I said, I'm no sort of graphic designer or sort of expert in this stuff. I've just taken what I can and made it sort of look reasonably similar. Obviously, I've taken a picture, I've got the background and stuff. So yeah, just to prove there's nothing going on here. So this is this is basically the background that I was using. and these are the buttons, that are over the top. So that's a sort of no mystery there. Obviously, got a little bit of work to do to change the background to remove these, but I think actually overall, I think it gives a pretty good view of what's that. I can stick it in full screen mode, and actually you wouldn't really know that it wasn't what you think it should be. So without further ado, let's get started. So I'm going to close this. So I've currently got OpenStage. This is 1.9.10. So useful thing here. Okay, well it tells me there's a new version available. So I think it's always best to be running the latest version. So let's click that link. This gets to the latest thing. So I want Win3264, which is that one. I'm going to download. Awesome. Right, so let me just copy this to downloads, which is where I have it already. Great. Let's fill that. Let me just change this shortcut. And I'm pretty sure if I just change that to 11, and I just change that to 11, okay, I should be good to go. Excellent. Right. So what we're not going to do, we're not going to load anything. Right, so what I'm going to do is let me copy this. Let's create a new tutorial CSS file, copy that. What we're going to do is bring this up. Right, cool. That's tutorial 2. Right, so just back to basics. We just want to run it on port 5000. That's the only thing we need to fill in, and then the MIDI. So it's Control M to bring up MIDI devices. I have So we've got an empty CSS file here. We've got open source control. Let's click start. Go good, because it's a new instance, and we want to there we go. So this is now OpenStage control running in the sort of the native Chromium browser instance of the Electron app session, new session. Cool. Right. So let's not lose sight of what we're trying to do. So we're trying to create this. So what we're going to need, probably start off with the faders. So we're going to need 8 faders, 2 rows of 8 buttons, 8 knobs, and then we'll go from there. And then some other buttons. Cool. So right, the first thing I like to do is enclose everything in a panel. So add widget container panel, and then for this we want to stop it at the top left. We want to make it 100% and 100%. Cool, done. Right, next thing we want to add a widget, slider fader. Stick that here. Call it fader 1. That's fine. So we want to Control C. If we do Control Shift V, it's going to give us another fader 2. And if I just do paste ID +1. So yeah, we're going to call this fader 1 to 8. If I just Control Shift V, so fader 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Fader 3. It's roughly right. This one is not correct because we haven't any sort of CSS yet. That is roughly in the right position. Right, that'll do for now. Right, okay. So the top of this is at 590. Let's just call that 600 moment. So what I'm going to do is just set the top of these to 100. Get 600. what we'll do, once we've got these, the basics sort of set up, then we'll go about doing all the styling stuff. That's also at the right. So we've got 8 faders. Awesome. They're not very well lined up at the moment. Wish you could select all of these at one go, but that's fine. Okay, what do we need next? So we're going to need, right, we are going to need some buttons. Okay, basics button. Awesome. Okay, in terms of buttons, we have, right, so just remind ourselves what we're doing. We're trying to do this. So we've got basically a row of 8 faders. We've got 2 rows of 8 buttons and 1 row of knobs. Right, so let's do that. So we've got this button. Do Control C and just V 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8. Oh, 9, 10, 11, 15. Awesome. 2. Go there roughly. There. And you can tell which one it is because it highlights it in the left hand side there on the tree. 14. Great. Okay. That's that. Then yeah, then we need a knob as well, don't we? So right, okay, so add it knob, way too big, not that size. But yeah, I was thinking of making these, and they are pretty much in line, aren't they? So I might make these cloned. It might make sense to make them cloned, right? Mightn't it? They're a fixed width apart. So based on this, they're not quite. Yeah, okay. We've got that. C, and then I do Control C. Okay. Got a selection of controls. We've got a selection of buttons. What else do we 2, 4, 6, 8. 2, 4, 6, 8. Right. 14 buttons. Okay. In sort of blocks of 4, 4, 2, and 4. Okay. Right. So what's that? That is button 16. That's a lot nicer. Honestly, you can't drag and select in the main window, but if you want to select multiple things, then you can. You just select them in the B on the left hand side. Excellent. Okay. Cool. So why don't I quickly go? Well, okay. Let me go. So B. Excellent. So what we're going to call these. These are encoder groups. Okay. Cool. So let's call this. That's button. That's going to be button 3 and 4. That's 1. Button 2. Place another 4 buttons in here. And yeah, buttons. Okay. Let's store, learn, edit, exit. Okay, cool. So let's change the button 3, button 4, 1, 2. Cool, and let's in. Get these. Always have transport down the bottom right. Transport. Yeah, I don't need to say transport controls. If you're not native English speaker, transport is just stop, play, record, loop controls where the playhead is in workstation software. Cool. So that's the transport buttons, and then I just need another 2. So let me. And let me paste them. Pull these. This is button 1. Oh, in terms of controls, we've got 8 faders. We've got selection of controls here. So 4, 2, 4, 4. So 4, 2, 4, 4. And then we've got 2 rows of buttons for each channel. So we've got 8 faders. We've got 2 rows of 8 buttons. We've got 8 knobs. And what's the other thing is, yeah, we want a display as well. So we want a panel text. So add widget. Nope. Indicators. Text. Excellent. So we want a text up there. That's going to show some information. Right, so in terms of basics and stuff, that is pretty much it. We've got the control, don't do anything, but we have all of the controls laid out. So now we've got that. I think the first thing I wanted to do is to introduce styling for the background. So essentially what I want to do is if I move these, get all of them, let's move them roughly into the middle. So what I want to do is, from the example that I showed you, I want to introduce, set the background of the panel to be layout image that I have. So what I did was I went to Google and I Googled 2000. Oh no, BCF2000. Went to images. Essentially looked for any top-down images that I could find. Possibly the one that I chose. Yeah, so that then gave me the layout that I wanted, which I'm then going to overlay the OSC controls on. So I thought this was quite a nice way to do this, because this basically sort of gives you the look and feel without any effort. You know, this is transparent actually. Yeah, so without any of the effort, it gives you the look and feel of the control, and then we just put our controls on top. As you saw earlier, I think the overall effect is quite good. Yeah, you can see actually down here, this is the BCR, which just has rotary controls. The BCF fader has 8 motorized faders. Cool. Okay. So that's what I did. You know, I just went here and I just downloaded what I usually do when I find images, which is to right click, open image in a new tab, and just do right click, save image as, and then save it somewhere nice. Cool. Okay. So that's us done. Right. So what have we got? We've got this. This is a panel. This is panel 1. So what we should do is, remember, when we had OpenStage Scroll, we created a new CSS file that we're going to load as a theme. So what we're going to do is give this panel a class, and we're going to call it BCF background. So that's going to be the class. So what we're going to do is going to target that class in our CSS file, and we are going to load the background that we downloaded. Right. So we need to put image file that we downloaded in a place that's accessible by OpenStage control. So you remember, oh, I'm actually going to save this as well. Why don't I do that? So let me save this in where I always save everything, which is dev test. Call this YT 81. Cool. So we're saved. I hit Control S. That's saved. Right. I've given this a class. This class BCF background. So right. Got BCF background. A warning that's an empty class because we haven't given it anything. Excellent. Right. So first of all, we want to grab the image. So I've got the image that I downloaded. So what I'm going to do is so wherever I downloaded OpenStage Control Resources app, I made a new folder called Custom. So in here, what I want to do is go in here. Oh, right. So what do I need to do is I'll just copy this in from here. So what I do, so for the class, I've got to set a background image to be the location of my file. Don't want the background to repeat. I want it to be centered, and I know the image size is 800 by 800. If I just look at properties, you'll see that 1200 by 1200. Excellent. I want to scale the image to 800. I want to be a fixed size of 800 by 800. I thought this was a reasonable size to fit on the screen. The actual source image, if you look at the properties, is 1200 by 1200, so we're scaling it by a factor of 2/3, but that should be fine. So all I want to do, and I set the opacity to 1, and then, so this is BCF background, save that, make sure this, fine. So, interesting one there, yeah, so, right, I just changed the name for the file. That probably should have been %20, should have been escaped. But yes, just removing that space and renaming the file without a space has brought up image as a background. So we're not a million miles away from where we want to be. This is the first part of the video. I think we're probably going to stop right there. So what I'm going to cover in the next video, because it's already quite long, is it's going to be really obvious. If I get out of edit mode, what you'll notice is that obviously the controls, not only are they not styled, but they don't align with the background. So the background we always want to be centered. So no matter what screen size we have, if we're a small screen or a big screen, it's always in the middle and always accessible. But yeah, what we want to be able to do is to make sure that we use, we calculate the CSS position so that when we resize and move, that the controls line up correctly. Yeah, so we're going to focus on the alignment of the CSS. So what you'll notice is in the sort of, you know, this final version is that with the resizing and stuff here, that all the controls stay in the same place relative to the background position. So that's what we'll cover in the next video. Thanks very much for watching. If this is something that you think is worthwhile, you enjoy this content, and you'd like to know more, then please comment. Let me know how you're finding it. Please do hit like if you're finding it useful, And if you want to see more of this and stay up to date and be the first to know when new content of this type lands, please do hit that subscribe button. And it really helps me keep producing this kind of content and keep you guys up to date with the information around open stage control. Okay, thanks, and catch you on the next one. Cheers, bye.